I should have updated you guys on this yesterday, but I wasn't feeling very well and I didn't even have a mic, so yeah, it was nearly impossible for me to do. But anyway, when you go on the Pokemon website, you see this, you click on it, and we finally have English descriptions for everything that we saw in Korokoro. Some people thought that the Zygarde Cell and the Zygarde Core were the same thing, but they're actually not. The Zygarde Cell can't even think for itself. You know, it doesn't have a personality or anything. It can't use any moves. So if we can use any of these forms in competitive battle or in any type of battle, we're not going to see Zygarde Cell in battle because apparently it can't use any moves. So how are we really going to see that? Like, the only way I could see Zygarde Cell being in battle is, you know, through the animation. If they all come together and just form Zygarde Core or the 10% form, I think that would be really cool. Zygarde Core, you know, it's more fun. It can move, it can think for itself, it can actually use moves, so it can act, you know. And Zygarde's 10% form is pretty much a powered up version of the Zygarde Core, where they all come together, 10% of them come together, and then make this dog looking thing that you guys have been seeing everywhere. Zygarde's 50% form is when 50% of the Zygarde cores come together, and that's the one that we know now. Zygarde's complete form is when all of them come together and just form this massive, giant, powerful, complete form. And it's really weird because they don't mention Xerneas and Yveltal at all, even though we see the blue and the red on its body. Like, they don't say anything about Zygarde having to go to them to attain this power. I mean, they do mention that Zygarde is stronger than Xerneas and Yveltal in this form, but they don't mention, you know, that Xerneas and Yveltal have anything to do with this transformation at all, which I find really strange because it's clearly on his body. You know, it's clear that Xerneas and Yveltal have something to do with this. Ash's Greninja is the most interesting one out of all of these. I mean, some people might not agree with me, but Ash's Greninja could be game-changing. This is not something that we usually see. Apparently, we saw it, or it happened once, several hundred years ago in the Kalos region, and I'm not exactly sure if they're referring to AZ's Floette or not, because, you know, there's, like, it's very weird with the time frames right there, like 3,000 years ago, several hundred years ago, 300 years ago. There's, like, so many different, like, things that happen in Kalos. And it's just really strange because you can't really connect anything because it's just a mystery. And it makes me think, like, when are we going to find out about what happened 300 years ago, what happened several hundred years ago, what happened 3,000 years ago, like, what really went down? You know what I mean? We got the story, but do we know what really went down? Not really. But let me read you the description of Ash's Greninja. Ash's Greninja takes on a mysterious new appearance in the latest season. Ash Greninja is the form that Greninja takes when the bond between it and Ash is raised to the limit. So Ash Greninja is a form that Greninja takes. It's not a costume, it's an actual form, and that changes the game completely because that means that this is a powered up Greninja and it's, you know, based on Ash, or it's bond with Ash, and it kind of makes you think, is this just for the anime, or is it going to make its way into the game? Like, how is that going to work? The strength of their bond changes Greninja's appearance, and it takes on the characteristic look of Ash's attire. This phenomenon is also said to have happened just once, several hundred years ago in the Kalos region, but it remains shrouded in mystery. The latest Pokemon season begins in Japan on October 29th, 2015. We already knew about that, but let me rewind back to Ash's Greninja. Like, that could be game-changing, really. Now, it wouldn't make sense if Ash Greninja made an appearance in the games because, obviously, you know, unless you play as Ash, it wouldn't make sense. It really wouldn't. Greninja would have to look exactly like the playable character in the next games in order for that to make sense, but they would have to make a completely different design for it. So, you know, based on that, I can tell you guys right now that Ash Greninja is never going to be playable in X and Y in the next games, unless Ash is a playable character, which would be mind-blowing, and it wouldn't make sense, to be honest. But if you want kind of a visual of what Ash Greninja would look like in the next games, take a look at this. This guy named Zeo Grand, that's his channel, he made a texture hack and put Ash Greninja into X and Y, or wait, Omega Ruby, X and Y, whatever. You know, he put it into the games, so we can kind of see how it would look like in the games. This is probably not going to happen, but it's really cool to see anyway. He also has a video of Zygarde's 10% form in battle, which I find really cool because I actually want to use Zygarde's 10% form. Not competitively, but just in battle, you know, just to use it because I really like its design. It's definitely weaker than Zygarde, so you don't want to use it competitively at all. That would be a very bad idea. But here you can kind of get a sneak peek at its design. It's probably going to look a bit different, you know, because this is a texture hack. It's not the final thing. He put it into the game just to kind of give us a visual of what he's going to look like, or what he could look like. But make sure to check out his channel. He has a whole bunch of other texture hacks. Some of them are funny, some of them are interesting, and some of them are weird. But overall, really good content. You can find his channel in the description down below. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to click like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.